Hi guys, this is going to be the tutorial that's going to show you how to make the child's granny square poncho. I know many months ago I showed you the granny square poncho that I made for my daughter because I had a lot of these kind of squares left over from my ring toss afghan, and because it's not my pattern, the ring toss granny squares, I couldn't show you how to make the granny squares. So I just said I couldn't show you how to make the poncho, but I realized that that you can use any size 6-inch square. So even though I can't show you this, there's many 6-inch squares out there that you may like. And I can show you how to connect them so that you can make your own child granny square poncho. So what you need to do is make 16 6-inch squares, and how you connect them is this little mark here shows you where they're sewn together. You'll connect 6 going this direction, and then you'll connect 6 to the first row and to the one next to it, to where you'll have a total of 12 granny squares in this long rectangle. And once you've gotten your 12 squares connected, you will fold it here, leaving this part for the back. So you'll have 6 squares on the back, and then you'll have 6 squares on the front. Once you've folded it, this will be the 6 squares that will show on the front. Now, you have 4 squares left. Connecting it to the front part, you can connect 1 square here, 1 square here, and then connect the final square here and square here. Then you'll turn it over, and then you will sew these 2 granny squares folded over onto the back part, and you'll connect it the same. Leaving you this V here, and this part open and unsewn, the sides. So you'll just have sewing here, and then you'll have a sewing on this side, with only 2 showing because of course these 2 are folded and sewn underneath, giving you a heart kind of shape. And the V part here, what I did is I went all the way around my V. It will be like a diamond shape. I went all the way around with a single crochets all the way around, and then the next round I did crab stitch, and I have a tutorial that shows you how to do crab stitch if you need to know that. And also around all of the edge around the front and the back I did single crochet, and then I went back around and I did the shell stitch. So also I have a shell stitch tutorial if you need to learn how to do the shell stitch. So each time I started with a row of single crochets, and then I did the crab stitch, and then a row of single crochets here, and then I did the shell stitch. And I want to show you a couple of methods that you can use to sew your granny squares together. There's 2 methods. One is by tapestry needle. Tapestry needle is really great because you don't really leave a border whenever you're sewing it together. It's clean pretty much on here and on the back. But the bad part about using this is that you're not able to sew usually the whole project together using this method if you're making like a granny blanket, something big. But for this project, you could get away with it because you're only going to be doing starting from, say, this is your first row. You can sew here, and then you can get your other 2 granny squares, and then you can sew, just keep sewing along, and then make those two connections for those 2 rows. And then the problem comes in when you need to do the long row back this way to sew all 4 of those granny squares together. But I will still show you this method. What you do is when you're doing both of these, and I'm going to show you, since it's a poncho that you're going to be starting, you're going to wear it this way and you want to have a clean look. You want to have the back showing on both sides. So you want your granny squares to be front to front. And you'll take your tapestry needle and make yourself a knot a little bit away from the end, so that later you can attach a tapestry needle on this side and sew it into your project. Makes it to where there will be no tail showing. And to do what's called the whip stitch connection is you get your granny square together corner to corner, and then in the very corner you want to go under, get a little closer, you want to go under 2 on this corner and 2 on this corner, and then pull it through till your knot stops you here. And then going in through the next 2, these are the top of the stitches here. Just like you would do a single crochet, you'd go under 2 and then 2. You pull that through. And I'm only showing you with this white so that you can see the stitching. I prefer that you, of course, use the same color that you made your project with. And again, starting from the bottom, I'm not going to go back and forth to do the whip stitch. You're kind of adding a look to it as well. So you're just going to keep going through the bottom and pulling it up. Going through the bottom again, going through the next stitch, pulling it up. And that's how you can connect your granny squares together using the whip stitch method. But me, I prefer to use a stronger method, but it leaves a border. And for a project like this, maybe it's not something that you'd want to do. I made a granny square afghan for my son, and I did this method with a different color than I used for my granny squares, and it made a beautiful border around all my granny squares, which was really cool. So I'm going to take the time to show you this method too, so you can use it for your own granny squares if you want. So what you do, if you're going to use it for this poncho, you will again want to have the front parts touching and the back parts showing, because you won't want this to show through. And again, you'll put it in the corner. You'll go through 1, then 2, and again, when you make your slip knot, you want to leave some tail here so that you can work in with a tapestry needle later on to make it a lot more cleaner. So you just want to do a single crochet. You'll go through 1, then the other, and do a single crochet. This is also a much faster method. Just make sure you don't do it too tight, because you don't want it to pull on your granny square. And I'll show you what I was talking about with the border if you want to use this kind of connection for a granny blanket or something. See how it leaves a border going like this? So if you wanted to use this method for the poncho, definitely make sure that you're doing it with the back sides facing and the good sides touching. So that way you're not going to get that border on the part of the poncho that's going to be showing. But if you're making an afghan, this border can really be beautiful. If you make it for the afghan, you definitely want to have it like this, where the good side's showing on both sides, and then you would start same way in the corner, and then single crochet connect all the way down. And when you get done, all of your granny squares will have this beautiful border all the way around, which is just a beautiful look, especially if you use a different color than the squares themselves. So either method works fine, And there are so many more methods that are out there where you can connect your granny squares together. Please check my Pinterest page. I have tips and techniques, bulletin board, and I always post stuff on how to connect granny squares and stuff like that. So if you want other options, feel free to go there. I'm sure that you'll find a few more tutorials. So also, it's good to note that you want to use the same size hook that you used for making your granny square if you're going to go through using the single crochet method. So that's it. I hope that this has been helpful and that you can now make your own child's granny square poncho. Thanks so much for watching, and please don't forget to like and share this video, and please don't forget to subscribe.